Well, good afternoon. It's Longhaultanker, straight razor shaving with Longhaultanker. And today is Friday, the 19th of April, 2024 at approximately 13:35. That's 1:35 p.m. Central Time, United States. And I have right at 48 hours, 2 days worth of growth on my face. My last shave was on video where I did the blindfold thing. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Glad that you're here, and let me move straight to introducing the equipment. I don't think I forgot anything. I'm at home, obviously. Let's see here. Got a nice William Elliott and Company number 61 made in Germany. And I'll bring that up close to you so you can see it. And very nice little, it's about a 5/8, maybe a tad more, but not much. But I'll call it a 5/8. And it was likely honed up on Dan's Arkansas hard black. Most of the little small ones like this are either hard black, translucent, or Zulu gray. And once they're sharp, they're sharp. And, you know, I've got enough razors, I cycle through them, that it takes quite some time to cycle, to get them to a point where they need refreshing. Soap is going to be Dovo, Soligen, Berlin Barber, A&E's take, and this was made by A&E. The jars were made in Argentina. The soap was made by A&E, and I don't know where the two came together. But it's a nice scented soap. So it's their take on a barbershop, and it's a little more spicy. I can't tell you the exact ingredients, but anyway, my brush is going to be the Artist Shaving Premium Silver Tip Badger 24 millimeter set in nickel. Very nice brush. A gift from my wife from years ago. And so let's get to lathering. I want to thank everybody for playing along, particularly Martin and Sean picked up the challenge and did a blindfold shave, and it really, I'm surprised at those willing to play along. Appreciate it. It was just fun, and I agree with Sean when he said, I think he said it to me in a note, in a comment on the video, that it's just nice and fun too. Our little community that we seem to be developing. I say developing. That's just my, little take on the side. We follow each other, we watch each other, we comment on each other's videos, we know who we are, and thank you. It's nice to have a friendly community. And I think the word community is overused. It might even be suggestive of other things that I would not endorse or approve of. I don't know. But I'm not too much into the modern woke language. But there's a group of us. How about that? There's a group of us that seem to follow each other, and that's not a bad thing. So just a simple shave. Going to do today. I got a couple of honeydew things I've got to do. After I'm done, one of them is going to take me outside into the yard. Not long. I got Got to run the generator, which you got to do about every 6-8 weeks, and keep the battery charged. In the event of had this been a real emergency, it needed to be it needed to be really charged, and not go, oh no, what do I do now? It won't start. And the lights are out, and it's 110 degrees outside during a summer thunderstorm, wind blowing, and you got to go out there and start it, and you're already half soaked by the time you just make it around to where the generator is. All right, here we go. Very nice. It's crisp, it's sharp. It feels comfortable so far, so I don't know what kind of edge it is. It just feels good. I have one of those sleeping soundtracks playing in the background. It's a 4-hour track, so hopefully it won't cut out on me. While I'm shaving and doing a video, I want it to play continuously along. That one the other day, the last video, it cut out before I was done, and it was a 8-hour track. Oh, that's just lovely. I want to commend Devin Jackson on his video from yesterday, where he makes some admissions that are kind of surprising about whether or not he would have ever gotten started in the straight razor shaving hobby. Some of the equipment purchases that he regarded as mistakes or stuff that he's selling off today and why he's selling it off. And I just found it very interesting and compelling. And he, in a comment to me that I commented to him and back and forth a little bit, and he said, what did he say? About maybe not, if he knew if it was, he got too much stuff and was chasing the newest thing, thinking that it would help him improve his edge. And, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. And so some of the stuff, and he says in the video that most of the stuff he's selling off is stuff that he bought that is really geared more toward knives. And mentioning how he didn't have a mentor as he was getting started, and like many of us didn't. But here, now this is where I'm going to take off. That's kind of what he said. Now this is what I'm going to say, kind of to all of us. But it does bring some of my history in. And everybody's, dare I say, journey another one of those buzzwords of the modern era. Is different. But I can only imagine that a lot of the young guys that are coming in get confused by all the different kinds of stones and equipment that's out there and available on how to get started. And I've told most of this story before on other episodes. And that is, I wanted a hobby and I didn't know where to turn. So I went to YouTube, I just typed in the word hobby or hobbies and looked at what came up. And once I got past so much of the gardening and the cooking and auto mechanic repair and stuff, there was this guy honing a razor. I'm going, whoa, that caught my attention. And so I watched him through, and of course we all know Lynn Abrams and the significant impact that he has or had. I don't know what his current status is. Right now I know, well, I'm not gonna go all that. And so I watched more of his stuff, and that led to other people's stuff. And Dr. Matt 357, as he was known then, 1911, Dr. Matt 1911 today. And Geo Fat Boy, and he was very significant in my development early on. And I joined up on one of the forums and started reading stuff. But I don't know what other people's experiences are. I took a good month to read just a whole bunch of stuff and watch a whole bunch of videos, because I did see that people were using all kinds of stones and razors, and people were saying things like, no, this is the only way to go. Well, okay, yeah, I'm not so much an absolutist like that. I can be in other things, but not this. And stones like Naniwa and Shahiru, synthetic stones, natural stones. And in my reading and watching the videos, I formed a consensus early on that there were standard stones and fad stones. And I'll be the first to admit that when the Zulu Gray came along to my attention, it was a bit of a fad stone. I'm glad I got it, and it's worked out beautifully. And then there were alternatives to stones, like, and I have no experience with these, but honing film, I think that's a thing, and I've never used honing film. And what I also learned early on is that you can go cheap or you can go good, quality. And I made up my mind early on I was going to go quality. I wasn't going to go cheap, well, except in the gold dollars. And everybody pretty much recommended the Norton 4.8 as a beginning stone. And of course, Norton is a reputable name and company. And for me, something else that was significant was in watching all of these honing videos from all these guys. I wanted a unified foundational set. I didn't want to get a 1K of this and a 4K or 5K of that, or an 8K, 10K of that. Different brands, different no, I wanted surely somebody knows how to put together a set of stones and make them work together in a unified sense, going from the 1K on up the chain. So I settled on very early, but I very early, the Shapton Glass series, and I now have the 500, 1K, 2K, 4K, 8K, 16K, notwithstanding Dr. Matt's reservations of the 16K, and the 30K. And but I got the Norton 4K at first. Okay, fine. And two gold dollars. And I started, when they came in, I was watching, and that first time I put razor to stone, my hand was shaking. I had trepidation. Of course, I'm driving a truck out on the road. I'm not taking my gear with me, so I couldn't wait to get home. And I hadn't started shaving yet with the gold dollars, and I'll remember my first shave. Well, I think it's ready. I'm going to give it a try. In the course of the shave, I cut myself right here on the corner of the lip, on the mouth, and that thing bled for 2 hours on my first shave. And my wife says, "Are you done yet?" I said, "No, I'm in this. I'm in this for the long haul." And admittedly, I didn't use the Norton 4.8K very long. I've pulled it out from a couple of times. I've done a couple of shaves with my very first gold dollar. About 18 months ago, I did one. Went back, showed the honing, I refreshed it, went back to the 4K, flipped it on the 8K, and shaved with it right off the 8K. And and I still got the stone. It's right underneath the sink here in the cabinet, just below the sink where I keep most of my stones down there. But I just don't use it anymore because I have a more advanced set with my Shapton glass stones. And I love those stones. They're quick, they're easy. You get used to them. Some have commented that they take steel off too quickly. Well, slow down. I'm not gonna, everybody's got an opinion, right? And it's always, how well do you know how to use your stones? And you got to spend time with your stones. You got to learn the feel. It comes with time, the feedback, and all of that. All of that is important, and it takes time, patience. It's one of the reasons why I don't, I suppose, do honing videos, partly because of so much criticism on the forums. And I just didn't want to subject myself. I was tenuous enough with shaving. Of course, I'm better now with my own shaving. But I just, the drive-by assassins will assassinate every chance they get. Ask Jared about that. Connor T at the Superior Shave. Drive-by assassins. And you know where I borrow that phrase from. If you don't ask me, I'll tell you. Rush Limbaugh, drive-by assassins. Drive-by media is what he used to say. But if you can get a good shave off your honing, why do I need to see your honing? Now, if you've got something special to share, and I know there's several guys that that's about all they do, or somebody like Devin Jackson who mixes his honing with his shaving, and you can see what they're doing, what they're trying to accomplish. Sometimes he runs these little experiments on different kinds of stones and so forth. And that's all fine. We all learn from each other, watching each other. And if you're a young man that wants to take up straight razor shaving, my number one piece of advice is take your time, be patient, read from the forums, watch the videos, take your time, make sound decisions, and be your own mentor. Do the kinds of things that a mentor would do if you were the mentor, but you're mentoring yourself. There were a couple of guys back then, 2015, this would be April, May, June of 2015, that I called regularly. What about this? What about that? I just read this. And that's part of the reason. One of the fellows that I talked to 3 or 4 times, and he's very common. You'd recognize the name. Or if you spend any time on some of the forums, you'd recognize his name real quick. And I've said that this fellow has been very helpful to me early on. And between him and Lynn Abrams' video kind of set me on the track toward the shafting glass stones. And again, I like the idea of that unified set all the way through the grit levels, instead of having different stones. I've heard people say, well, this stone is really known for being the best at 10,000. This stone is really the best for being a bevel setter at the 1,000. Whatever. Dr. Matt was very, made a significant impression on me with some of his early videos where he got his diagrams and his charts and his little displays out, and he's saying, this is what you're trying to get to. No offense to Jared with convex honing. You're trying to get to this flat stage between the spine and the bevel and the apex, and here's what and whatever it takes to get there is what you do. Now you don't grind the heck out of the spine, nor do you have the bevel and apex with all of the striations at maximum peak. No, you got to work those out, and so different pressure levels. And anyway, if you saw those early videos of Dr. Matt's where he has his diagrams and illustrations, you know what I'm talking about. And those were particularly, they made their impact on me. And it wasn't too terribly long after that, sometime into 2016, 17, that I started learning about and having an interest in natural stones. A lot of the synthetic stones are a more modern creation. I was interested in what did our forefathers use, what kinds of stones, Arkansas, conical, primarily, I guess. Some of the Welsh stones from Europe and of course, what's that one that everybody wants? The label, they cost $2,000 on eBay, and nobody can ever find them. I'm not interested in stuff so much that's unobtainium. It's got to be available in the market today, and so that kind of limits your choices versus what was available 50, 60, 100 years ago. And if you're lucky to find something, I was trying to think of that name of that stone that everybody wants. And so then I started learning about cauticles and Arkansas stones, and everybody recommended Dan's whetstone, which I understand that they are a significant provider in that realm. And so I went and learned as much as I could from their website, and even calling them and talking to them. Oh, that's nice. And learn the difference between the soft, the hard, the true hard, the hard black, and the translucent, and the GS scale and the significance of 2.5 plus on their scale. And okay, I got it. And so eventually what did I buy first? I think it was the hard black. And of course it was a 8x3 by 1/2. And eventually, not long after that, I bought somewhere in there, I bought the Zulu as well, Zulu gray. I bought the true hard 8x3 by 1, but it was affordable because everybody wants a hard black, surgical black, or they want a translucent. But there's an in-between category that also falls into the 2.5 plus GS scale, and it is perfectly suitable for honing razors, and you can get a full-size stone, 1 inch, 8 by 3 by 1, for a very reasonable price, at least 6-7 years ago. I guess the upshot of what I'm trying to say is take your time, be patient, and decide which direction you want to go, what naturals you want to try. Have a good foundational base in your, in your early progression from 1K, 1K, 2K, 4K to 8K. Now, generally speaking, 8K is where a lot of people, including myself, here lately I've been going up to the 16K and then coming back to a natural stone. Hone beyond where you want to end up and then come back to your natural stone, conical. And comparing natural stones to grit ratings, everything I've ever read always said that's foolhardy. Don't do that. You either like what you get off the natural stone or you don't. Comparing a conical or an Arkansas or a Zulu. Now, I've often compared the Zulu to a 30,000 grit because it comes off so crisp and so polished, and it shaves so sharply that, that kind of feels like my 30,000. But that's anecdotal. That's me saying that, which means nothing. It's like somebody saying they've got a 3.0 GS because they've done the water scale test on the stone, and that's what mine is. Well, so what? Good for you. That's my usual reply. Now, I've got these soft and I've got the hard Arkansas, thinking that I would work them into my progression when I'm doing Arkansas stones. But my personal opinion is I found them to be a little too coarse, a little too rough compared to a 1K, 2K, 4K of the shafting glass, that I largely use those for kitchen knives for my wife. I sharpen her knives. And if I were home more regularly, I might very well spend the time with the Arkansas soft and hard and really put some gold dollars to it to see how it worked. If that would be something I'd want to regularly work in or not. But right now, it's not. So I don't pay them much attention, quite frankly. But they're under my sink right here. when my wife calls me and says, yeah, I want you to do the kitchen knives. Okay. Well, it looks like I'm going to be home to next Friday. My wife and I have doctor's appointments on Tuesday and Thursday, and there's just not enough time to get a load in. I remember some years ago that some guy was selling some stones that came out of Arizona or New Mexico, and one of them was called an Apache. And there were two different kinds of stones, and I don't remember if the Apache was the bright red or if the other model was the bright red. Some of you might remember that. And I was just all hopped up on that red colored, orange red colored hone. And some of the guys were saying on the forums that he wouldn't say, the seller wouldn't say what the stones were made out of. Silica, navacolite, slate, wouldn't say. So it kind of fell off the radar pretty quickly. So that's a fad. I think the Zulu Gray, if it had been better marketed with a sustainable bankroll, I think it would have more of an impact, which I think would have been nice. It from South Africa, I think that would have been a cool deal. But Michael fell off the face of the earth, and I remember years ago, he said that he had bought the rights negotiated and bought the rights to commence remanufacturing of the Wade and Butcher. Some of you may remember that. But it was right about that time that he fell off the radar, and some of you had ordered Zulu Grays from him directly from South Africa, instead of using Howard Schechner up in Massachusetts, who was also an American distributor of the Zulu Gray, which is where I bought mine. The Perfect Edge, he's still in business up there too. I don't hear much from him. But I think the Zulu Gray would have been, because it is for me, and I know a couple other guys that have the Zulu Grays and they love them, and they pretty much do for them what I say they do for me. But it's a cottage industry. Even, and for that matter, so is Dan's Whetstones. They're a cottage industry. You got a father, a son, his wife. I don't know who all else is in there anymore. Let's let a couple of the office girls go. And Dan's has their honing stones are not their only interest in their production of Arkansas. They're into flint and I don't know what all else, and they have some commercial ventures corporations who buy their flint stuff. And I don't know, again, I don't know what all else. And so I guess as I'm getting closer to the end of my shave and talking about all these stones and beginning practices and some things that Devin shared in his video last night, is to the new guys, I just say, take your time. What is it you want to accomplish? Devin's, as I understand in our little correspondence, Devin's goals and ends are not unwarranted at all. He wants to have a simple kit. Okay. And that's all good. That's all fine. Nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with having taken a long way to get there, going through all these stones and all these machinations to come to a particular terminus point and say, that's as far as I want to go. This is my set. I'm getting rid of this. I'm keeping this. This is where I'm going to settle in. Great. I'm not so far off from that. Yes, I have my foundational set of Shapton, and I like my few naturals that I have. Got ahead of myself. But one of the lessons I learned early on that I followed throughout, don't go cheap. You'll be disappointed. You'll be searching for the next great thing, and just don't go cheap. Just don't go cheap. Stay with the tried and true. Stay with what the guys are saying is the good stuff, depending who your online mentors are. I say mentors, not that they're actually mentoring you, but you're following what they're saying. And that's kind of like what most of us have done. Is I remember Geo Fatboy's video years ago on the 4.8, the Norton 4.8. I found it very interesting and simple. But it's just taking a piece of steel, putting it on a stone, whether synthetic or natural. And I'm going to talk, again, no offense to anybody else, making a flat plane. Now I know others, I don't need to go there. Most people, I'm not even going to say that because I don't know. So those are some of my ramblings. I hope they're of help. I still can't tell if this is an Arkansas edge or a Zulu edge, but it's giving me a good shave. I've got no complaints either way. I've mentioned before that I used to be a pastor, got the master's degree in divinity, 20 years in local church work, and through those years, through my seminary and graduate and all of that, and 20 years in the business, I acquired myself a personal library of some 2,000 books, theological research books, heavy reading stuff that guys like me are supposed to know, and in all the different related fields. And since I've been out now, these 15, 18 years of the full-time business, I say business, it's a business. Sometimes they give you the business. People have suggested to me to sell my books, get rid of my books. People would make me offer on my books, which was nowhere near compensation enough for what the books were worth, what I paid for them. But in a weak moment, I sold a little over 200 volumes of my library. Some of the stuff's irreplaceable. You go to eBay and check out the titles, they're like 10 times what the retail price was that I paid for them. And so they're irreplaceable. And I kick myself every time I think about having gotten rid of those 200 plus volumes out of my library. Sometimes it's just easier to hold on to what you already have, put it in a box, stick it in the attic, stick it in the back of the closet, just let it sit there. And who knows, maybe 10 years from now, you'll pull it out and say, oh yeah, I remember that. I see these people on the forums saying, yeah, I got rid of that stone, or I got rid of that razor. Why? Now, unless you got more money than God, and you can go out into the marketplace and buy replacements for all this stuff as you may want to replace them, why would you get rid of what you've already paid good money for, even though you're going through a period where you want to reduce I don't get it. I don't. Unless I was starving and on the verge of losing my house, I wouldn't sell a thing I've got relative to my hobbies and my books and other things that I've acquired over the years. That makes no sense to me. Anyway, that's me. All right, let's rinse it down and see what we got. Oh, I just thought of something else I wanted to talk about today, but not a lot of time, so I'll save it for another time. I don't write these things down. I rely on my memory, which is fading. Oh yeah, that feels real good. I'm sure I'm just chasing phantom whiskers right there. That as soon as my skin dries up and heals up, it'll be just fine. Except right there. Don't like that. All right, head shave. Let's get on to it. We use the William Elliott. Yes, number 61. There it is, right there. And for the head shave, we're just going to use a gold dollar. No, the Union razor, sorry. So the Berlin Barber Dovo soap is, it's these soaps that don't lather per se are soaps that they kind of annoy me, but it has a good scent. It's slick as all get out, but it doesn't lather. I can put water on that and scrub it up and it just melts. When I say melts, it thins and does not lather. It's just oil being spread all over your head. And while that might be good for DE razors and other forms of shaving, I'm going to guess that most of us who are straight razor shavers like the traditional tallow soaps that lather up well. Very nice. You guys keep up with financial news? I've been following in the news for the last several months. The commercial real estate market is on the verge of monumental collapse. Cities like Chicago, New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles are seeing vacancy rates and are going bankrupt. They're somehow or another, they're not paying their leases, which puts the holding company in danger, which puts the banks in danger. And watch out. Okay. So I got a couple of days of growth on my head after my haircut on Wednesday, and I can see my sides a little better than I could then. Now this gold dollar, union razor I should say, because it's got a black handle on it, was more than likely honed up on a Arkansas hard black, surgical black. Which is kind of how I remember on my union razors and my gold dollars. If it's a white handle, it was either translucent or true hard, and if it was a black handle, then it was a hard black or surgical black. All right, I think that's about it for the shave. Let's do some refinements. Got the alum block, Ozma. There, oh, that's just, oh. Little something under the chin there, but down over here, silky smooth. Silky smooth right there. Almost nothing, almost up here. Down here, just a little something. And you know what that sting feels like. Oh. Okay. Use a little bit of Lucky Tiger, which is an aftershave tonic. I say aftershave, it's like Thayer's. It's got a nice citrus scent to it. And Pinard Whiskey Woods, Pinard Clubman Pinard Reserve Whiskey Woods. Nice thing about using the alum block and anything else that you might use after that, before you get to your aftershave, especially on the heavy alcohol base, like the Pinard Clubmans and so forth, it takes almost all the sting out. Oh yeah, that's great. All right. That's it. Thank you for staying with me this long. And Devin, I hope you don't mind that I kind of used your video from last night as a launching pad into some things I wanted to say on top of what you said. So thank you. Appreciate it. And I'll see y'all down the road.